We have invited Meric Moir. Moir. No, more. No. Stop.
Moir, like Sawyer.
Moir.
Hold on. No, actually, I'm not allowed to stop this. Jim's like always one at it. We do it. Okay. Moir. Thank you. Meric Moir, back to continuing conversations for a fan suggested riff session. All right. I'm Michael Dismuke. I am a blogger on Continuing Missions and also a co-host with Jim Johnson. Wow, I'm really messing this up today. I'm just not losing my flow. So, Jim, the reason, but there's a reason why. Let me tell you why. The paw wraiths. Jim, take it real quick, and then I'm going to get myself together.
You're all discombobulated. I love it. Hey, everybody. Jim Johnson. I am the project manager and the line editor for the Star Trek Adventures RPG and the Captain's Log solo RPG, both published by Modiphius Entertainment. To load these many years, co-host on this here show with Michael Dismuke. Ready to come up with a really cool episode for you tonight. Fan favorite. Came up in conversation, I think, during our 100th episode, if I remember right, or maybe on Facebook conversation. I don't remember.
100th episode for sure. Was it?
Okay, cool. And we brought Meric back. So Meric, introduce yourself, please.
Hello, my name is Meric Moir. My pronouns are he, him. I do actual plays and freelance writing, and you can find our stuff on SkyHammerPress, whether that's SkyHammerPress.com, SkyHammerPress on YouTube, or twitch.tv/SkyHammerPress. It's all the same now, mostly. But yeah, we put together shows because we love these games and we want people to try as many of these games as they can until they find something that they love.
Exactly. And this subject is cool because, as we found out last time Meric came on the show, is that he's a Deep Space Nine fan, a Benjamin Sisko fan. And as we've all heard, if you know anything about Jim Johnson, his favorite show is Deep Space Nine and his favorite captain is Benjamin Sisko. And if any of you know me, I hate Kai Winn. Yeah. So this theme of this session, someone had proposed during the 100th episode was, can you write a story wherein Kai Winn and Gul Dukat are redeemable? Are you that creative? And so we invited Meric to this challenge, knowing that he's a fan of Deep Space Nine. Now, just to catch you all up, for those of you who may not have watched Deep Space Nine, don't worry, it's streaming on Paramount Plus. You can correct that mistake. And even if just for 1 month you pay the subscription fee just to catch up on the 100 and something episodes, that's okay. We give you permission to do this. But just so you know who Kai Winn is. So Kai Winn was a Bajoran religious figure, okay? A Vedic. She's a Vedic, right? We would call her a Vedic. She was a Vedic, which is a religious title, right? And she was, like many religious people, highly manipulative for her own political purposes. Chastise me, if you will, for me saying that, but that's who she represented as a character. And she was not a good character. I mean, she is the most passive, aggressive hypocrite you'll ever see on TV. And I really do not like Kai Winn. Gul Dukat. Oh, go ahead. Add something, Meric.
Yeah, I was going to say, I have a couple of friends who are huge Deep Space Nine fans with me. And I recently rewatched the seasons. And while I was watching it, I was always texting them being like, meh. And we always called her Pope Karen.
Yes, Pope Karen is perfect. There's no better description for her ever I've heard. Pope Karen, yes. And so then Gul Dukat, he was a Cardassian leader, a commander, who ran Deep Space Nine when it was called Terok Nor. This is when the Bajorans were under occupation by the very harsh Cardassians who killed 50,000 of them. Was that the final number, like within the occupation, or was it more? Could have been millions.
It was more. I think it was up in the millions.
Was it millions? Okay.
Multiple millions, I believe.
Multiple millions, yeah. So Gul Dukat was just a totalitarian dictator who, in his own egotistical, megalomaniacal mind, thought he was doing a service for the Bajoran people by dominating them. And when he got pushed off of Deep Space Nine by the Federation, he was a contentious villain for the entire series until the very last episode, where gratefully both Kai Winn and Gul Dukat died. Okay. So I'm not going to give you more than that. Their death was wonderfully fantastic, involved a lot of fire, screaming, and pain. But the challenge has been made to us gentlemen to try to figure out how we would write stories in Star Trek Adventures that would redeem these characters and make them lovable and fluffy. Go.
I don't remember the lovable and fluffy part, but I think we'll do our level best. I do want to say one thing though. I want to put this into context a little bit, just for the viewers who have not watched a lot of DS9. And what's the matter with you? Why haven't you watched DS9? Go watch DS9. It's been around for 30 years. You have no excuse. It's one of the best Star Trek series out there. Please go watch it. It's worth your time. The context I wanted to give you is like, Michael had a very clear, visceral reaction to these two characters, and I
love Gul Dukat. Let me be clear though. I hate Kai Winn. I actually really love Gul Dukat. So I just want to be clear on that. Okay,
second best villain on TV.
Who's the first?
Xanatos. Gargoyles. Xanatos, also played by Jonathan Frakes, actually, but in the Disney cartoon Gargoyles, Xanatos is my number one.
Okay, you brought it up, so I get to pick my number one villain is Mad from Inspector Gadget. So
cool.
Anyway, the context I wanted to give you is Deep Space Nine had 176 episodes, right? Over its 7-year run, 176 episodes. Gul Dukat was in 35 of them.
Only
35. 35, right? Out of 176 episodes, Dukat was in 35.
Wow. Wow.
Awesome character, awesome writing, awesome acting. This shows you the power of a really good character, a really good NPC that has significant impact. Even in the episodes that he wasn't in, he was influencing events, right? That's a good character.
Oof.
Kai Winn, even more so, because she was in a net total.
Can I guess?
Yes.
7
more.
Oh, okay.
I would have gone 20, just like right in there.
Less
than 20. That's also incredible.
Yeah. 14. Kai Winn was in a net total of 14 episodes. That's like, I don't know my math. That's less than 10%. That's way less than 10%. Not very many episodes, but that is the power of Louise Fletcher and the writers and the producers in creating this character, that she was so good at being so horrible that she's reviled by like everybody. I don't know
that
anybody.
Gave me goosebumps. That's scary.
I don't know anybody who loves Winn.
That's great acting and writing.
That's fantastic.
It's incredible.
To have people hate you so much, and you've only been in 14 episodes, right? But the episodes she was in were so impactful, and she had so much to do. Like, it's just amazing.
Non sequitur.
Yeah.
Non sequitur. I hated Danny Glover for a while because of how he acted in Color Purple. And I loved that he became my favorite actor at that time because of that. And I even saw him at a concert because he lives in San Francisco. So I saw him at a Prince concert once. He was in the crowd. And I remember my first initial visceral reaction was hatred. And I was like, no. And I went up to him. I'm like, you're my favorite actor, because he got me emoted like that. So Kai Winn is up there with Danny Glover. I mean, not the actress name is Louise Fletcher, is up there with Danny Glover.
I'm starting to think of other like great villains in TV shows. And when there's a villain that you despise, it's because the actor is so good.
Mm-hmm.
It's
believable. It's just believable. She's just skin crawl. Ugh.
Exactly. Every way she speaks, her little tone of voice, you just like,
so great.
Karen. Hope Karen, bro.
Like every time she says "my child," it's like nails scraping on the car's like, oh. It's like, and you like oh shoot, I just drew a blank on her name. Nice. Not a visitor, right? You could see in her face,
Kira,
her Kira's reaction every time Kai Winn said "my child." You're just like, I want to kill you, but I can't.
When she says something like, "Oh, of course, I did not expect you to think of it that way, emissary," and it's just like,
Well, let's talk about the evil that's Gul Dukat. Wait, did you have some more points to share on that, Jim?
No. That was
because I'm okay talking about Kai Winn, how evil she is for a whole hour. I'm okay with this.
You know what? Before we go to Gul Dukat, I'd say even as much as Kai Winn grates on me, I feel as if she is more redeemable than Gul Dukat.
Mm-hmm.
Disagree. But we'll talk. We'll talk.
All right.
We'll talk about this.
We'll get into it.
I'm going to tell you why I think she's harder. Okay. Anyway, Gold. Okay. Done with Kai Winn points, Jim. Those were great, by the way. Thank you for sharing that. I can't 14 episodes. Now I'm going to on my next holiday off watch all 14 episodes. I'm gonna do. I know it. I sometimes it's good to like go into the dark place just so you remember there's life after. But Gul Dukat. Okay, so Gul Dukat. What made him amazing to me? There was I don't know if you've done Myers-Briggs test, and there's INTJ is one of the letters, and General Patton was an INTJ, the one who influenced the decision to storm Normandy and knew that he calculated 1 million lives would be lost. And that was, I'm not comparing at all Gul Dukat with Patton and the decision of that. I'm not saying that, but there's certain personality that has somehow clicked in that there's such thing as acceptable losses to get your goals done. Gul Dukat was a very strategic, like the way by the end, I almost believe that he loved the Bajoran people. And he convinced me that he loved the Bajoran people.
And he never convinced me.
Are you serious? See, to this day, I think he still loves Bajoran people. I really feel he did. Okay, tell me about this then. What's your perspective?
For me, it's never love. It's control and obsession. Like he needs to hold them. He needs to place them. He needs to be their father figure. And that is not love. And
I agree. When that is in the root definition of love, I agree. But I'm saying in his mind, he thought it was love.
Oh, absolutely. I completely agree that he's self-deluded.
Right. And I said megalomaniacal. Yeah. But he wasn't doing it out of just hatred, like genocidal hatred. He literally thought everything he was doing, like Patton, that's why I go back. He thought everything he had calculated was purely out of love. And that to me was fascinating. He convinced me that was his motive.
And that's why I think he's not redeemable, because he's so wrapped up in he is the hero that he could never change. And just the atrocities that he has committed against the Bajoran people. Like horrible. The episode where Kira uses the Orb of Time and goes back in time and sees that Gul Dukat was with her mom. And like, he's got this pattern over 20, 30 years. I was, nope.
Jim, got to get your take on this.
Yeah.
Gul Dukat, Kai Winn, come
on. I think I think I agree that Kai Winn is probably more redeemable than Dukat. I think Winn has enough in her backstory that there is elements of like a sympathetic character there who got caught up in her own ambition and then just got kind of carried along by the the sweep of history and the sweep of tide. And unfortunately she fell in with Dukat and got not double crossed, but got completely consumed by his cult of personality. And it was at the very last minute she realized what she had gotten into, and she was like, "Oh hell!" There was no way out at that point.
Well,
right? She did her best, but
let's talk about that final moment, though.
Yeah,
because if you watch carefully, she brought him to sacrifice. But she was still manipulating to the very end.
She was.
She did. It was, again, love, that definition of it. Yeah, she let him seduce. Again, I don't know if he seduced her or she was just playing the game to get power.
Yeah. But to your point of love, I think that Gul Dukat believes he loves the Bajoran people. Absolutely. He did the Paw Wraith cult and all of that. Kai Winn does love the Bajorans. She does. Absolutely. But I think her ambition and her selfishness comes first. But I think that she has the capacity to overcome those and still go with the love of the Bajorans. I don't think Gul Dukat has the capacity to overcome his own selfishness. And we've seen that from him, like taking control of taking it away from the Tapa Council, from like when his daughter dies. Like so much of his stuff is just, he never changes.
Maybe it's just that my inner despise for religious leaders over politicians.
She's such a politician, though. Yeah. She's a fantastic politician.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so with this is great. This is great. Yeah. But this tests us as writers. We're in the writers' room. We want to really show players and game masters, like, you can do anything with your own game. There is no wrong answers, right? So we're pushing this to, I think, what might be the most extreme episode ever of trying to work this out.
Are we doing one episode where both of them are redeemed? Well, are we trying two different stories?
Well, let's play with that idea, because they both died in the same episode, and the killers were the same. Mm-hmm. And we all know that any spiritual journey, as was Deep Space Nine, in my opinion, a spiritual journey, that death is not finite. So it would be easy to me. That's the easy solution, is to have that they went somewhere else and came back. That's, to me, the easy answer. Right?
Ooh, chills up my spine. What if, because the prophets, the wormhole aliens, are outside of time, Kai Winn and Gul Dukat are brought back to the beginning of the Celestial Temple, and they get to grow into their own versions of either a prophet or a Pa Wraith. And so your players can maybe interact with them and help them choose this new path for themselves as spiritual beings, no longer corporeal beings.
You're acting like they each become an orb of their own.
Yeah. Ooh. Ooh. Like an orb of Aaron. I'm like
an orb of passion,
ambition. Yeah,
orb of ambition.
Oh, I love that. And then
deep.
That's Ooh, cursed objects and like intelligent objects are always pretty fun, right?
Wait, has there ever been an evil orb?
Yeah. No, Gul Dukat.
That's the interesting context. Is imagine if their characters, if they're set before 2370. What was the last year of Deep Space Nine? 2370.
75.
What?
75.
2375. And it started in 2368. Then
69, 68, something like that. Yeah.
So if you're set before 2375, you find these time lost reincarnated orbs.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah,
I like
that's
that.
Crazy.
But I mean, it also could be, they don't have to go back in time. Maybe the prophets, or maybe Sisko's thing at the end of the series where he's gone is compressing them, spiritually binding them into new tiers of the prophets that are then sent out into the galaxy.
Man, I hope Jackson Lansing and Colin Kelly are listening to this.
Now that that is a hell of a story I would like to listen to. Is what if Sisko, as the raised prophet at the end of DS9, right? He ascends to be with the prophets in the Celestial Temple. Maybe the prophets, as one of their first tests, whatever, for Sisko, is to take whatever's left of Kai Winn and whatever's left of Dukat and say, here's your projects.
Mm-hmm. Wow. You know who else would be there then?
Redeem them.
Who else would be there then, technically? Who else was a victim to the Pa Wraiths? Season 6.
Oh. You get Dax back. You get Jadzia.
Jadzia, I guess.
Jadzia Dax would be there too.
That'd be interesting.
Which would be crazy.
Maybe she wasn't killed by the Pa Wraiths though. She just died.
Really?
Oh yeah, like Gul Dukat stabbed her while he was possessed by the pirates.
Phased her, didn't he? Yeah, I don't remember.
Who knows how those worms can work in mysterious ways. Don't mess with Curzon would have figured it out. Nah.
But imagine like you said, Cisco's task is to redeem them, and Cisco goes, well, then they need experiences. And so as orbs, they go out into the galaxy, and he's like, drop them off with a Starfleet ship. And Gul Dukat orb is like on a Starfleet ship in, 2679. And
No, right. And what if he's dropping them into different bodies of Starfleet officers to experience?
Interesting.
Compassion
that's a possibility. Sure. I think I like the idea of embodying Dukat in an orb, but what an interesting exercise here. I'm gonna stick you in an asteroid field somewhere in the middle of nowhere, and you can sit there and you can think for 1,000 years. Sit there and think for like 1,000 years until Archer's NX-01 just happens to discover you somewhere along the way, and a starship from that period of time in Starfleet's infancy encounters you. And just see what happens where
you both are inspiring me is this. I have a fascination with the prophets because they're aliens, they're wormhole aliens, and I think I mentioned before in a other episode when we interviewed Derek Tyler Attico that in my game the wormhole aliens are actually applying for Federation membership as the first extra dimensional entities to do so. So it's a whole seasoned activity, but there's an emissary. One of our characters became the intermediary, and Cisco's back and all this stuff. So because in protecting the galaxy, you need to protect it from extra dimensional threats too. And so the invitations kind of, met with that. So I like the idea that you're both conceiving because we're talking about using these two characters to explore the prophets and what makes them.
Mm-hmm. And the idea that if they experience enough and learn enough that they become prophets as well.
They're non-linear, right?
Exactly.
That moves the whole non-linear. Like, what is good and evil, and what is the path to good and evil, and when are you good and evil?
Yeah, and what if the prophets that we've known for the entire length of Deep Space Nine also include Dukat and Winn? Because at some point in the future...
drop the mic. Hold on, let me move away. That's killer.
Right?
And they're the ones testing the entire time.
Yeah.
Because it's non-linear, right? So Cisco might have brought them in and helped redeem them or refocus them, but then because they do live in non-linear time, they might have been responsible for influencing Cisco's mother into becoming the mother of Cisco. And it's just this funky Ouroboros of what came first, the chicken or the egg, right? You can just get this whole timey-wimey trippy stuff going on here.
I love it. That's cool.
And I'm going to read something to you too, which is going to freak out the writers in us. Okay, the very definition of emissary is a person sent on a special mission, usually as a diplomatic representative. The key in that sentence is sent. Emissary derives from the Latin emissus, the past participle of the verb emitters, meaning to send out.
And like so
he would
imagine
if you send somebody out of the time space continue. Yeah, but what if the whole cycle of it in the infinity symbol is you send people even out of the time space continuum as an emissary to the prophets to form a union between the physical and the non-physical, the non-corporal and the corporal. It's almost quantum leap of Star Trek. It's really deep.
There's beautiful themes that you can play with that story. That's super cool.
Yeah, some of the social themes, and let's talk about it because you have to have the social themes is, redemption, right?
I want to nail down what they're orbs of, though, because I feel like
I love this. He's like, I'm doing it.
It's in my brain, and I feel like Winn is ambition. But Gul Dukat could also be ambition. And I'm trying to figure out which Like, what would Gul Dukat be more of? Or is there something that's more clearly Kai Winn than ambition?
Well, here's what's interesting about ambition.
Control.
Ambition is the strong desire to achieve something, right?
And she wants to be the spiritual leader of Bajor that is loved. That is her goal. And she gets halfway there.
I'm just wondering if they're two of the same and they balance each other out.
So are they one orb? And like your players go into the orb, have an orb experience, and it's like Kai Winn and Gul Dukat being like,
that's like two devils on your shoulder. That's a horrible situation to have two devils on your shoulder.
Maybe Winn's the. I don't know if acceptance is the right word, but like I remember one of her big character shticks was that she was really like she had a secret resentment to Sisko because Sisko was connected to the prophets in a way that she never was, and she never could be, right? Because she didn't hear them the way he did, or she didn't hear them at all, and she always wanted to be more connected to them. Okay. So I wonder if there's some sort of angle there of like she wanted to be connected to the Bajoran people, but she wasn't really. She wanted to be connected to the prophets, and she wasn't really. But she still ended up in this power of religious positioning, right?
So what if they are, corrupted orbs, and she's the orb of envy, and then as you work on her, she becomes the orb of acceptance.
Okay. And then Gul Dukat should be in a transformative mode. Ooh, you're talking about how prophets are born and develop into maturity. So it's what he is and what emotion precedes that, right? What they're supposed to become. Oh, that's some good social dynamics. Okay, so envy to acceptance. And so Gul Dukat would be almost like a mistaken love to true love. So what would be the words for that?
Well,
lust,
like a possessiveness. You said vanity?
Vanity, yeah.
Vanity's a good one for him, yeah.
Vanity to compassion or vanity?
Hyper vanity. Where would he go though?
Compassion is a good way to land Gul Dukat, because if he's this dictator who feels that he knows best.
Wait, vanity to empathy.
Empathy, yeah. For him to step away from a role of I know best to I accept and no longer stand in your way, that's kind of where I think he needs to go. And empathy kind of gets there.
Would it be fair to say that the prophets in First Contact, but since they're not time linear, they're not constrained by time, and so time doesn't make a difference to them, their way of establishing First Contact is determining if a species has the capacity for growth emotionally?
We see them very emotional, though.
Do we?
Not really. They're
no. I don't.
The prophets are usually quite like robotic, and that I think is just how they interact with a linear species, because they're not able to understand.
But yet they are born. We're going to assume again. This is all to me about figuring out who the prophets are.
Yeah.
Through watching the tortured growth of these corporal beings, including Sisko.
I mean,
right?
I've always believed that the prophets are Bajorans that like transcend linear time and then shepherd their younger selves through societal growth and itself. Like I've always considered them as actual Bajorans.
Let's go through our theories. Jim, what was your theory? And I'll go to my theory. What's your theory about who the prophets are?
What the prophets were? Oh, gosh. I don't know that I ever really established a real good internal thought process. I didn't love the idea that they were aliens coming around to just be benefactors of Bajor. I was like, that's kind of weird. Why would a group of aliens do that, right? I felt like they had to be more tied to Bajor somehow than that. And I think the idea that they were Bajorans who ascended, that works for me. I don't know that even after 30 years, I don't know that I put a huge amount of thought into who are the prophets and who are the wormhole aliens, however you want to look at it. But now that we're talking about it, I think it makes sense that they are Bajorans who did ascend into this nonlinear space and then that gets really weird and fun because it's in a way it's self-fulfilling, but also not, because they got to keep that circle of life going.
The way I wrote them in our game was they're multi-dimensional, whereas we travel Earth A to B point, physical space, they actually explore through layers of reality. And what they do is try to find the most spiritual species, because they're non-corporeal beings. They try to find the most spiritually species to create first contact with, to make contact with that layer of reality, and then spread the word accordingly. And so I have them working in multiple realities.
So pulling it back to where you'd think of how they would do first contact, then they would do first contact with a species once it has generated enough sort of spiritual energy, like the paw, like, oh, your paw is strong. And can we talk about how when Winn grabs somebody's ear?
Just get your hands off me, you pervert.
Yeah. You can't feel my paw.
I'm calling my lawyer. Don't touch me. Don't touch me.
But like, so maybe that's what their version of the Prime Directive and First Contact is spiritual growth.
But I want, and the thing in my game is they obviously weren't going after who's most intelligent. They're not going after the most logical. They're not going over telepathic species. They literally know that there's a layer for spiritual. Mm-hmm. And they went for the most spiritually receptive species.
Yeah.
And on each layer, their first contact is based off spirituality.
Mm-hmm. And the celestial temple appears and is found at the moment of the Bajorans' lowest point of spiritual health. Mm-hmm. Because they suddenly are freed from these decades of subjugation, and they've abandoned a lot of ways. They're all, a lot of them are rebels and damaged. Yeah,
but let's think strategically. They have this connection for hundreds of years with the prophets. We know that. Then for 50 years, the Cardassians come and stop that spiritual growth through domination. And so the prophets need an emissary powerful enough to push off the Cardassians. Welcome Benjamin Sisko and the Federation. So to them, it's all just political game brinksmanship.
Mm-hmm. Well, and I mean, I think it's also important to think that to the Bajorans, corporeal linear life forms aren't super distinguishable. Like for them to be like, let's pull in the Federation and pull in Ben Sisko.
Agreed.
Like, they're just like, Ben Sisko's, we prepared him. He is of Bajor. His mom is of us. And we're pulling him into this area. But I never like the idea of, the Federation stepping in as the big brother that helps Bajor. And I love how they explore that in DS9.
I like that. So their sensors detect your spiritual level.
Yeah.
They don't look at the outward fleshly.
Yeah. But like you said, it's definitely another layer of reality that maybe some species just pop into. And I do like the distinction that you pointed that it's not necessarily psychic species, because they're not popping into.
I would want to, in Star Trek, which DS9 did a good job. They explored they didn't automatically assume telepathy psychic with spirituality. They created its own new genre of science fiction.
Yeah.
I thought that was so cool that they took it there, right?
Mm-hmm.
So now Winn and Dukat. We're building the prophets, which is good. This is fun world building that was never done. It was never completed, right? That's why we're all satiate over having some sort of sequel. But so now with that said, since Jim's been the quietest, I'm going to pull him into it. So now what do we do with Kai and Cole?
Well, I mean, I think...
and by the way, my wife's name is Kai. I just want you all to know this. Because that makes it even... just...
I mean, if I were going to do this as a Captain's Log story, I would do Captain's Log from Dukat's perspective, and then I would do one from Winn's perspective, and I'd probably get down into the weeds on what we're talking about here, where they become the orb or they become the thing, and then they've got to figure out that whole journey toward the journey from selfishness to selflessness, right? They have to figure that out. They make mistakes along the way. Maybe they learn from it. But if they don't learn from it, guess what? They're nonlinear. So Cisco's going to kick them back to another example and say,
quantum
okay,
leap.
You didn't learn your lesson, or you didn't learn a lesson from that experience. Go try another one. And maybe this is the prophet's way of testing humanity to say, are you a species that is capable of redeeming somebody, helping somebody else be redeemable, right? Taking an irredeemable person and making them redeemable. So it would be, Dukat's story. It would be Winn's story. You could also fold in Cisco as the emissary and have him be part of the story. And that's from Captain's Log perspective. I think I would really have to think about how I would do this with a group of player characters and getting them. I mean, this is a whole campaign, right? This is a very mind stretching kind of campaign where you're getting into the levels, into the prophets and the wormholes and the nonlinear aspect of it.
I think we could pull together a bridge crew of characters, either made up or from the Star Trek universe, of crew members rooting for these two people to win. Like, imagine if your pool, I'm trying let what's his name? Star Trek season 1, Charlie X.
Yeah.
Where's Charlie X in all of this? Where is someone who's been spurned by the Q continuum in all of this? What is this group of explorations who's really boldly going where no corporal being has gone before? As part of exploration, there's ways that like, I think how you're talking about the human experience right now, Jim, and the social implications, and really in society nowadays, how do you redeem people? Cancel culture. Do you even have an interest in redeeming people? There's ways that this could be really hard hitting. Like, who are we to call someone irredeemable?
And that's one of the things that's really, really cool, because once you put it in that perspective, the onus is on Gul Dukat and on Kai Winn to make those choices and to grow and to become better people. And your player characters get to enable that and witness that.
And I think that's where you would want to have, if this is a group of player characters, right? You would have, I think I would probably set it up to have Cisco be the mentor guide kind of person, like the Janeway on Protostar, who's kind of there to kind of help out where appropriate, kind of nudge things along, but it's really up to the player characters to figure it out. But I think this would be a real good test for the player characters to see where their compassion is. Where is their compassion? Where is their selflessness to especially if any of them are Bajoran or have had, like, if this is a game set like post Dominion War, where they saw firsthand all the horrible things that happened because of these two characters. And now they're in the position to have to potentially, not so much redeem them, but to help them redeem themselves. Right. Yeah. We're getting deep. So now
I love it.
This is an opportunity.
It hurts. It's so good.
Yeah, right. It's an opportunity for the players to, like, really, really self-analyze. It's like, what is important to me? What is important to my character? And what is my character willing to let go of in order to unlock this compassion for somebody who doesn't maybe deserve your compassion, right? Who has been so heinous for so long. Right. And you're right, Michael. Boy, there's some real life current events type of stuff that this could absolutely hit on, because there are certain people in this world right now who a lot of people think are very much irredeemable. And there are days I'm like, and I'm right there with them. Like, I like, why is this person here and still in a position of power? And yet, like, there's a part of me that's like, oh, but they could be, like, if someone actually made the effort, they could maybe turn that ship around just a little bit, just enough to take the edge off.
And I'm always the type, when, I think we talked about this last time. I was on another podcast and I talked about it. I don't I'm not quick to blame the person. I'm very quick to blame the system that creates these peoples and enables them. Yep. So you could even take the game there. It's like Kai Winn is a product of, Dukat is a product of, which I think is a very healthy mindset in this day and age where we know systems were put in place to force people to act a certain way. Yep. Like, say, racism, for instance. Like, of course you're going to be racist when it's totally monetarily beneficiary for you to be racist. Why wouldn't you be racist, right? You have all the benefits. So I think if you even structured it from there, where they're now free of these systems and able to observe them from a higher level, like, oh my God, I was a pawn. I thought I was in control, but I was just a pawn.
I think that's a good straight line with Kai Winn. I think that it's a lot harder to play that with Dukat because he says that to Cisco when they're like stuck on the planet together and they're going to die. He says like, no, I was good for Bajor.
Yes.
Cardassia was bad, but if it wasn't for me, the occupation would have been worse. And you're just like, oh no. And like, he's bought into the system so well that I think that's harder for him. I think it's easier for Winn.
Okay, I'm not naming names, but we know political figures like this. And that's the struggle. Is it redeemable? And can you write the story of that?
Yeah.
One thing. Oh, yeah.
No, go ahead, Meric.
I just want to say when you were talking about Cisco being the kind of Janeway helper character, like I just pictured Cisco dropping into your bridge, leaning back in a chair, tossing a baseball up and down, just with that smile on his face. And I'm like, I want to run that scene.
I mean, you guys are really writing a novel right now, is what you're doing. This novel would be crazy good read. And then dropping them into mortal situations. But with this higher cognizance level understanding of existence, that's beautiful. I mean, there are. I don't want to find out how we redeem them. I'm happy and satisfied that they're on the path to redemption,
and that maybe they were there all the time because time is non-linear for them. And like we said, they were the prophets the whole time.
Wow, this has been satisfying.
I don't know if we entirely answered the challenge, but I think there's certainly plenty here to think about. And there's so much more we could unpack too, right? I mean, gosh.
Well, I want to do it a little bit. If say, for instance, we were playing this game, we say we're going for it. We don't know where it's going, but we're going for it. Let's talk about this. Ship or station. What would that ship? Now we're going into a whole new realm of technology because everything's technology to me. Even the prophets are using some sort of technology, right? It's beyond us. Just because we don't understand it doesn't mean it's not technology of some sort or physiology. So what are they using to travel? Just wormholes here and there. And there's some central hub, which is because we got to roll on maybe getting from here to there with a wormhole, right? If you're building into game mechanics, what would you do? Ship or station?
I think I would go ship. I think if you went station, you would be, you might tend towards sort of mirroring Bajor and Bajor's challenges, like especially if the station was placed near a planet. And I think that would reinforce Dukat and Kai Winn's like previous characterizations.
Really? Because I'm seeing the station as the wormhole, the temple, the celestial temple, as the central core nexus to the hub. To get everywhere else, you got to get through space and time.
Okay.
That's how I was thinking. I was like, because if it's a ship, then you need a bridge crew, right? Which is not, I'm just saying, I'm just questioning how it would work.
Well, the characters in DS9 had opportunities to encounter the prophets, and they weren't at Bajor and they weren't at DS9 necessarily. And I think the way to do that, it was with the orbs, right? And we know that there are a lot of orbs, And we know that the Bajorans lost some of the orbs along the way, or the Cardassians stole them, basically. But there are probably other orbs out there. And it probably stands to reason, if we extend it, that the prophets could probably create new orbs as needed to help impart a lesson or to impart something onto the Bajorans or to the people in general, which is why they're potentially taking Kai Winn and turning her into an orb, and then Dukat into a new orb. Like, they may be creating new orbs all the time, right?
I like that.
So I think if I don't think it needs to be tied to DS9. It doesn't need to be tied to Bajor. I think it needs to be on a ship, because I think this is a journey. Like, if you are on a journey to redeem Dukat and to redeem Winn, you need to be on something that can take that journey with you, so that the crew who has been saddled with this responsibility can go to different places throughout the galaxy and have opportunities to interact with different species to fold those lessons in together, right? So, like, Dukat, here is a species who is in a situation similar to something in your past. How do you deal with it differently than how you dealt with it before or in the future, or like whatever it is, right? And I think you would probably want to have some sort of transwarp capability so that you could go anywhere in the galaxy. You could tie in the Gamma Quadrant, the Delta Quadrant, the Alpha Quadrant, Beta Quadrant. So, it would probably be set after Voyager gets back, and I guess early 25th century, to where we have, or the Federation has, access to transwarp capability or quantum slipstream drive or whatever you want to call it, so that we could go anywhere, anytime.
So when we have two, so we know two. Say there's 5 players. One would be Kai Winn, one would be Dukat, right? That would be the. You wouldn't make them NPCs, would you?
I would make them. You go ahead.
I would make them NPCs, because they are the mission.
Yeah.
I wouldn't want to put any player character into playing Dukat.
What if you did like a haunted ship sort of thing, where it's like the orbs are inextricably attached to the ship, the way like the spore data is with Discovery.
Yeah.
And sometimes, whether it's Cisco or it's Dukat or it's Winn or it's the 3 of them or it's the prophets, your ship goes somewhere you're not expecting, and it's part of their trials.
Ooh, and if it's truly a ghost ship, does each mission mean that you pull different characters through time, space, Federation characters to be the crew for that mission?
Oh, that'd be interesting.
So all of a sudden you have Captain Kirk with Worf, with a lower decks character, and each one of them is key to this particular mission.
That's an interesting thought. Yeah.
That would be crazy. That'd be fun.
Interesting thought. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. This would be a fun game to construct. I mean, this is Jim, me and you, Meric. We're all retired. We're billionaires. We live on a lake somewhere. And we come to my house today because we're playing the Star Trek Redemption story.
Star Trek Redemption. Oh, I love it. It's a beautiful title. Yeah.
Beautiful title, right?
That's the name of the ship.
Yeah.
Ooh, it is.
Captain Cisco and the Redemption.
Oh, yeah. That would be great. I mean, again, Jim Kirk died in the Nexus ribbon, so he could show up anywhere.
Exactly.
But yeah.
Well, I mean, that's the wonder of the orbs and the nonlinear existence of the prophets, right? You could pull in literally any canon character you wanted to anywhere on the timeline. Are they dead? Yeah. Bring them in. Tasha Yar.
Exactly.
Tasha Yar and Kirk have a mission together as major NPC.
Sorry, I just forgot the leader of the Vulcan philosophy.
Surak.
Surak.
Surak, yeah. Surak comes in. I don't know, the caretaker. Like, I mean, there's so many.
The Guardian of Forever.
Yeah, the Guardian
of Forever. Oh goodness.
Yeah. Yeah, all kinds of possibilities. I think
give us Empress Giorgio.
Oh yes, always a good solution.
Oh, she would put Dukat in his place. Oh, she's on
that's
it.
A scene. Just for that. Oh, wait, she would put Kai Winn. I can't wait for her to like grab Kai Winn's thumb and put her in a death grip with that. That would just make me happy. Oh goodness. Okay, now and so on the ship they embody physical form on the ship. Is that what you're saying? That would be awesome.
They could, yeah.
Mhm.
Oh, maybe that's the thing is they're let outside the box for a while to test them. Do something bad back in the box.
The box being a physical form?
The orb.
Being an orb.
Oh, an orb. Okay.
Yeah, so you can let them out of the box to test them and pull them back in the box. And of course, there's the episode where they get out of the box and you got to get back in the box and all that kind of stuff.
So like first mission, first episode, your characters are like, maybe they're lower deckers, maybe they're a new bridge crew. They're going to their new assignment and a Federation ship warps in and nobody knows what it is. So you go to investigate and it's Captain Sisko saying, this is the redemption. And we need your help. And you go on a couple of missions and it goes through time and like they beam Kirk aboard and that's fun.
Yeah. It's not too different. I don't know if you all read Star Trek with Jackson Lansing and Colin Kelly right now. They did a lot of stuff with the gods of the universe, like the crystalline being and Qs and stuff like that. So they're taking it there, and they did a lot, they didn't do anything with Kai Dukat and Gold, but I don't like adventures that get so far out that people are confused. So I still would want something very simple. And that's why I keep going back to Quantum Leap, because he beams to this area, solves a problem, goes back home, so I think
hopefully his next jump will be his last.
Yeah, exactly. And so, I'd want Gol and Kai to be the same way. Like, well, we don't want to have to be nice, but we have to, because if we give it up, we have to end our existence. So, okay, we'll take this journey. Right.
I think, boy, that would be a fascinating session 0 to sit through and plan and talk to the characters. Cause I would love to have some, if not all of the player characters to have some sort of element of their character that's also in need of redemption, so they can all be on their own individual journey, in addition to redeeming Winn and Dukat. Right. Because it's one thing just to be along for the ride and have to be doing these endless fetch quests for Dukat and Winn. But like, what if your own character is on this journey too, and maybe doesn't realize it initially. And then there's that episode where like, oh crap, what he's going through or what Dukat's going through, I'm going through. And oh, wow, maybe that changes my perspective a little bit and maybe develops a little bit more compassion.
I love that. That said, I know who I'm picking then. I know if I had to play a player character in here, I know who I'm picking. I'm picking B'Elanna Torres' mother.
Interesting.
Who would you pick, Jim and Meric?
Oh, geez. It would have to. I'm always a fan of creating new characters, but I'd have to really think about how far I wanted to go, because this is touching on like faith and spirituality and like real personal reflective type of stuff. And I'd have to really dig on that one. I could do it, but I'd have to be really intentional about it, I think.
Good. Okay, so you'd probably make up someone yourself. Good. Meric, what would you do?
I would like to make someone up, and it would probably be a Bajoran. And I'd love to just sort of dig deep into that. But also popping into my head was lore.
Wow, that's nice. I like that. A robot achieving not only sentience but spirituality.
Or like you said, like one of the missions
I love that.
ends up and lore is involved. And like,
I love this. Oh, this I'm telling you right now, this is actually really deep. I love stuff like this. This is really good. I think because like Batman, right? Joker makes the movie. If there's no Joker, there is no Batman, right? So I love it too that I think people just knowing that Kai and Gol are the stars of this, that attracts so much attention. Because there's that's that dread that something's about to blow up in your face at all moments, right?
I can picture this beautiful, symmetrical, almost Star Wars movie poster art of like, the ship and like Sisko, and then Winn and Dukat in like their very arrogant poses, standing on either side of it. Like, that's cool.
Yeah. And the ship would have to be advanced because it even has prophet technology. It has celestial temple engine technology integrated. So being on it would be almost like being in, I don't know if you've ever been to Saint Chapelle's in France, the stained glass window effect, like just this, it's this multicolored prismatic effect. And it's just makes you feel once you walk onto it, like, oh, and it's just that feel. So you'd have to design
like a cathedral, something.
Yes.
Something. Yeah.
Yeah. So the ship would have to almost have that, almost like the Klingon Baroque look, when they designed into Discovery season 1. It almost has to be a cross between that just to make it seem like, okay, I'm on holy ground right now. That would be interesting. That'd be a very ambassador level kind of vessel.
Yeah. That's cool.
Crazy. Jim's thinking something else.
Oh no, I mean, I'm loving what I'm hearing, and it almost makes me want to go pull the Shackleton book off the shelf and do a little bit of reading into the Calmiran and make it a living crystalline ship that has elements of that space and time thing.
That's right.
But it's not a Federation ship necessarily. It's beyond. It's self-aware. So I would make it like Discovery. It's an entity unto itself.
I love
on its own journey.
So it's not even just, they don't have an astrometrics lab. They have a chronometrics lab. Like you go in there and look into the crystal and then navigate. You have to do this was a new focus, temporal navigation. Someone on there is a temporal navigator. Oh, okay. I'm done.
Don't roll a complication on that test.
Because you got all the facets and stuff. And time is, what angle are you looking at? The facet, right? Oh man, there's so many places we could go with this.
Klingon time crystal. It was adapted Klingon time crystal into a dilithium matrix.
Yeah, and in fact, one of the player characters could be a Tholian.
Wow,
that
right? Would work. Can we bring Bright Eyes back? Sure,
bring him in. Bring on, throw it all in there.
Star Trek Adventures is amazing.
Have a couple binars on the crew.
No, yeah, because everyone on the ship would have to be like the doctor needs to know how to take care of temporal sickness, right? Because that's going to be one of the biggest. Temporal radiation is one of the biggest keys. So they'd have to know how to deal with that. And everyone has to be adjusted. I mean, you may even have an XB because we know they right? So XBs could be key on this. Oh man, there's just, you guys are, I'm going to stay up all night. Stop it.
And then a bunch of Suliban.
I forget who actually, Suliban from a time when they become part of the Federation. And there's a little office in the back that is a DTI office. This is the guy who bugs everyone constantly and tells them that they're not following protocol.
Hey,
there needs to be that guy.
Yeah,
it's like an old government, olive drab style desk.
5'2", balding.
Every time you see him, he's just got his head in his hands.
He wears glasses. He's the only one who wears glasses for some reason, and he's like infraction. Oh my god!
I have to report this.
His screen is constantly flashing up red alert, like infraction. I was like, oh my god, just make it stop.
Oh, he's the comedy relief. Every show, he's like they have to get permission from him to authorize the mission, then to get back, and things go wrong, and he's on top of them. Oh man! Oh wow! I
just turns and looks at the camera.
I'm trying to think of his focuses. I mean, that's a whole nother character. That would be fun. Okay,
bureaucracy.
Well, you guys did it. We were given a challenge. I forgot the name of the person who challenged us to word the 100th episode, but I actually think I'm looking forward to the story. I never thought I'd want to see Kai Winn again, but.
And how much fun would it be as a game master to put on the persona of Kai Winn or Gul Dukat?
I would take some taxing on me. I'm sure I have a little Gul Dukat in me, but Kai Winn, I'm gonna have to work on that one. But it would be fun. I think
the key though, right, is that you're not just playing Kai Winn, you're not just playing Gul Dukat, you're playing Kai Winn trying incrementally to be somebody else. And is Gul Dukat trying to overcome his own ego over millennia or countless decades or whatever, the timey-wimey elements of it. So like I could totally get into it, right? Like they have moments where they fall back onto their old ways.
Yeah.
But then they'd be like, oh wait, I can't do that.
Well, I think the first season they'd be struggling with disbelief. I think they'd be like kind of in this surreal area, like this can't be real. And maybe it's not. So let me hold on to a little bit of the old because I need to look for my out.
Looking for the angle. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think the first season or two, they'd be really doubtful and then finally be like, okay, this is real. Okay. So since this is the real situation, how am I going to take advantage of it?
Yeah.
You know, and then that's a growth too, right?
Dukat being like, I'm stuck in this orb, but that planet has this interesting technology. So we're going to explore it because we need to help them. But I'm going to get my hands on what I need to get out.
Yes, because it has some sort of anti-chronoton harnessing.
Yeah.
And I think that honestly, and part of the place that makes my heart throb is I think they're slowly falling in love with each other through the episodes. Like, I really think that they would have this weird admiration. Well, I mean, they fake before, right?
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. Could they get back around there in a satisfying way?
Well, they have to believe this. This is the romance in the story. If I can be redeemed, so can they.
Mm-hmm.
And if I lose hope in them, then I lose hope in myself.
Oh, it's suddenly such a can of worms now that I'm thinking about it, because wrapping into that being like Dukat with Winn again, Dukat is just not trustworthy around Bajoran women. Mm. And then Dukat as a prophet guiding their culture, like, wow, you got to move his needle far. But that would be really satisfying if he could do it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
This is a night I don't sleep. This is a night Jim
Michael's
Johnson.
Up writing.
In my old days, Jim Johnson would have received 4 pitches. Like, we got to do this. This is a mission brief set, but I'll leave it alone.
Yeah. No, don't leave it alone. Put it up on a continuing mission.
Oh man, this is good.
Or just throw the ideas together. I mean, hey fans, we just gave you an hour of some pretty deep stuff that just probably literally scratches the surface of what's possible with Star Trek. I mean, I tell you, this franchise is so amazing. You can fit anything you want in here, and you put some smart brains together and just start riffing, and you can go all kinds of places with it. This has been fascinating. I love this stuff.
Yeah, this would be the WandaVision of Star Trek.
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
Ooh, if really you could tap into that amount of catharsis for those two characters.
Mm-hmm.
This would be that. Oh man, okay, we're just gotta end it because I'll keep going. My mind's literally popping off ideas right now and episode ideas, and I'm just gonna leave it alone. If you all want us to do more of this, then I demand that we at least have 1,000 new followers on continuing conversations. If we get 1,000 followers more, then I'll go ahead and we'll invite Meric back, and we will now start breaking down episode by episode how we would construct Star Trek Redemption.
Mm.
That's it. Otherwise, I'm just never going to sleep again. Oh, thank yous. Okay, so my thank you actually goes to you, Meric, and those like you. Yeah, and the reason why is myself and Jim, we've noticed a lot, in the past 100 episodes or so. We've done all kinds of variety of episodes, but where we've met a lot of demand when we ask, like, what do you want to hear more of? It's more about how to play the game and things like this, like how to create stories and how to engage players. So Meric, when I see you online and other people like you who are producing how-to videos, I hear every week we say, hey, I wish I'm a video learner. I'm an audio learner. I wish I could watch it and stuff like that. So the fact that you're adding to the community and adding the wealth of how-tos, thank you. And I hope it inspires a whole bunch of other people not to be shy about it, just to jump into it because it helps hundreds of people. We hear from 10 or 20 of them, but I guarantee you there's hundreds, if not thousands of people who are feeding off this and becoming fans of Star Trek and Captain's Log. So thank you, Meric. That's my thank you for today. Over to you.
Thank you. I mean, mine plays off of that. I mean, at first, quick thank you for inviting me onto the show. Like, I've had a killer time tonight. This was so much fun. But like, I just need to say thank you to my players, to the people that I play this game with, that I play all of these games with, who are like, at first, oh yeah, we'll humor Meric and we'll play another RPG this weekend. But like, just the energy and the joy that your players can bring to the game when you do communal storytelling, like that is stuff that sticks with you for years and years and years. And so I'm very thankful for my players, and I hope everybody watching says thank you to these people who are joining this game with you.
For sure. Jim Johnson.
Yeah, so I want to thank both of you for spending the last hour with me, on the show, just talking about this stuff, talking about these characters and the story potential. And I think, just to wrap it up, hey, guess what, viewers? We just spent an hour talking about character, talking about story, and I don't think we talked about mechanics at any single point of this episode. We didn't talk about how it was going to happen mechanically in the game. We were just going with the characters and with the story, and that, more than anything else, is what I think Star Trek Adventures is really, really good at, is that getting into the character interactions, the themes, the moral dilemmas, that kind of stuff. You don't need mechanics for that. You just need a good group of people to get together with and tell some amazing stories. So that, more than anything else, is what I'm grateful for. I also want to thank all the producers and all the writers of Deep Space Nine for creating the characters of Winn and Gul Dukat. Just realizing that they were on so few episodes, but they were so impactful from a writing standpoint. And then thank you to Louise Fletcher and to Mark Alimo for bringing those characters to life on screen and making them so, compelling, right?
Yeah,
You may have hated them, you may have weirdly admired them, but you kept watching and you kept coming back, and they kept coming back. And that is a testament to really, really good actors with really, really good material to work with. So it's the directors, it's the producers, it's the writers, everybody involved in the whole production. But it's also those two actors who did such a fabulous job with a limited number of appearances that 30 years later, we're talking about making this entire series spin off of everything that they did and finding some way to redeem their characters. Right. And it breaks my heart that we'll probably never get another DS9 story, because I think, harkening way back to the last episode where we were talking about how amazing Sisko is as a father figure and everything else, we don't get that closure with Jake and Sisko. I want that closure, and I just don't. Well,
yeah, we can. This is where I say support your comic writers, support your novelists, support those other genres, because those can give you closure. Production costs and stuff like that. Maybe we can't get 21 seasons of a Star Trek, but that supportive literature is so key. And even you playing RPG with your group just to wrap it up the way you wanted to see it is closure too. Oftentimes it's even better than the TV shows. So please support the arts in whatever form they come, because we love these stories so much.
Yeah. And of course, I'd be remiss if I didn't thank the fans. I said it before. I'll say it again. I'll say it forever. The fans are such a key component of this game and of this fan base. Thank you for all you do. Thank you for supporting each other, especially when you support new fans as they come in. I see it on the Reddit. I see it on the Facebook group. I see it on Discord. Every week, new fans come into the game and discover the fan groups, and the fan groups always take it upon themselves to bring these new fans into it, right? You're asking questions. You're asking about the game. Other fans are answering them faster than we can, right? I can't get to the questions as fast as another fan can. So it's just great to see the fan base is super healthy and the ecosystem is really strong. So that just makes it so much easier to do what I do. But so thanks to all the fans. We could not be doing this after 7 years now without you. So the sky's the limit. So thank you.
All right. Great episodes. Thanks, Meric, for coming. IDIC.
Yeah, thank you, Meric. Live long and prosper. Be safe. Be well. We'll talk to you next time.